So this week I went to visit my friend Will Crosson. He's a young designer from Montreal, and I went to visit his little design studio situated on the plaza. We spoke about how he came up as a young designer, his little tote bag manufacturing company that he runs from there. Also, we spoke about his obsession with caps. Like, he's a really great designer that also makes hats besides clothing, but we spoke about what makes a great cap. I also brought him a hat that I had made 11 years ago. So my first brand that I started about 11 years ago was called Petite Patrie, and I had made a lot of the clothing all in Montreal, all in Canada, but also I got a custom hat made, this one. It's a 5-panel, and I wanted to see like what's his honest opinion on the construction and the choice of fabric, so we'll see a little bit of that. So we got to talk also about his upcoming show and all the clothing that he's been designing, and I'll just let him do all the talking. This is my friend Will.
What up?
He's going to show us a little bit about his what he does in his cave.
Yes, sir. In the sewing dungeon.
The sewing dungeon.
Welcome. Any good sewing studio gotta have a big ass table for pattern making, fabric layouts, fabric cutting.
That's where it all starts.
This is where it all starts. Yeah, exactly. From there, ironing board, the most low key but most important part of a sewing studio is the iron. My name is Will Crosson. I own a small manufacturing business here in Montreal, as well as operate my own sort of design practice as it relates to clothes and garments. I probably first started sewing in like 2018. I went to school for fashion design at the beginning of 2020, and that's like when I like really actually started, sewing and like exploring this.
Was there like something that kind of pushed you into it, like from childhood or like parents or?
In 2018, I had graduated university, and I was sort of bouncing around a bunch of jobs, not really liking what I was doing. I would say that it was when I was working in landscaping and construction that I found like a real satisfaction or like enjoyment in like working with my hands, and like building or like creating things actually. So I think that was a really big part of it. The very first thing that I had sewn was a tote bag for an organization in Barrie, like where I'm from, that essentially distributes like reusable tote bags to local businesses that are made out of, old like bed scraps and stuff like this. So that was actually the first thing that I had, like, so that's what I learned.
Was destiny.
On. Yeah, like literally, bro. Yeah.
Like, oh, this is what I'm good at.
Yeah, exactly. Fate drove me here.
So I guess it's as like the tote is as simple as it looks. There's like a technicality to it too. It's like learning how to make straight sewing and stuff like that, cutting patterns to the level. I guess that helps you get to another.
Totally, yeah, for sure. I mean, the pattern it's squares. Squares, and it's all straight lines. Yeah.
There's a stack of totes.
A stack of 250 tote bags.
All handmade in Canada.
All handmade
by this guy
in Canada by me
and a team
and a bit of MC.
Yes.
Yeah.
You make a lot of tote bags for a lot of people, like all the cool restaurants in the city.
Yes, yeah. Vraiment Lapin, Joe Beef.
The government of Ontario.
Yeah,
or Canada.
Yeah.
And all this, what stands out is durability and well made,
Yeah, for sure. I know it's so funny. Like, I think a lot of people will send in requests for like a quote or whatever, and they'll see the price and they like cannot comprehend. Like if you saw our tote bag next to the one that's whatever $8 or something, it's obvious as to why the price is there.
So I wanted to talk to you about hats. Because I like hats. I'm always wearing hats.
Yeah.
It's always a thing.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And you make hats. Like I asked you before, like was that like the first thing that you got to get good at, like making hats?
I think in a way, yeah, I guess like that was something that I really like, I guess an accessory that I really put a lot of time into trying to get good at.
So the question is, what makes a great cap? Like what's like everybody has their own thing, but I feel like there's specific things that maybe to you that you think what makes a good hat, like it's like either technical or the fit.
It's funny. I think probably everything about hats could come down to personal preference. I think that the one thing that makes a great hat universally is a sort of like either like sentimentality or something behind the hat, or like an intention behind the hat. And so I think that like a great hat is a hat that's like a little more intentional than that, you know what I mean? I think when I was first starting out, I was prioritizing mainly just the sort of like confection aspects of the cap, you know? So like, how do I, you know, sort of like finish this opening piece the best, you know? Or how do I sort of like create the best shape so that I can like sew it the best, you know? Because especially in hat making, like if you're off in your sewing by like 3 millimeters or something, it shows, like it's obvious.
Let's talk about like, yeah, your hats, but the embroidery part.
Yeah, sure.
I feel like,
Yeah.
okay, this is my opinion. You know when you go outside of the city and you go into like a pawn shop or a little,
Yeah.
it has that little countryside of it. And you know, it's like, you see it and it's like, it's old, but it's like, it's cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what your patch, or like old patches of like scouts or stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, dude, for sure.
Like what is like,
Absolutely.
because your inspiration, I guess, from that is like very old, not an old school embroidery technique, I guess, because it's all handmade.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, actually, like a lot of those patches that you mentioned would have been done on machine, like any patch you would get now. But for me, like, and what I like to do just in terms of like, you know, my like design work in general, is to like take that thing that we all see as being sort of like secondhand whatever, and sort of elevating it to its maximum, and I guess sort of like romanticizing those sort of aspects of our culture, honestly.
Yeah, it's like very nostalgic, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Well, for example, like I can show you this one. Right. So this is like all hand embroidered except for my little tag there. But yeah, so every stitch is
That's
all by
crazy.
hand
And then
on
when
there.
you look inside, is it covered? Or, oh yeah, you covered. You hide it.
Covered,
Yeah, it's
of
not
course,
like messy.
with the yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
How long does it take you to just do that? Like,
This one isn't. It's. I've gotten a lot better. I've gotten much faster, as I'm sure you could imagine. So this one now maybe takes me like 4, 5, 6 hours.
what is that? Is that like a
It's like a skidoo.
skidoo? That's
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. Like the,
Yeah.
the look and the vibe. It's like, to me, it reminds me of like going to
Yeah.
like camping or being in the scouts and going outside and
Yes, yeah.
getting like, oh, sew your own patches and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Well, and for this one too, I like did the whole like satin stitch, which is like, again, obviously like normally done by machine. I did it like all by hand into the pocket. But yeah, so that's kind of the process with the embroidery and the like, you know, thought process behind that. But basically all my references are historically based. In particular, I try to focus on like things that are like particularly like Canadiana to me. So I can show you some samples. Like I'll show you like some of the samples that I used, for example, to get to that other waxed canvas one. So like, for example, here, right, I'm like, this was a previous pattern, right? So I'm like sort of quickly like rendering these, just like sewing, making sure everything's gonna like line up and whatever. You know, even putting in the eyelets and like everything into this hat. And then, you know, I would try this on and I would be like, okay, do I like the shape, whatever. I think I might have extended it from my previous pattern. Like I raised it up by maybe 1 centimeter there. And then I was kind of disappointed actually, because I put a lot of time into this one and I was like, okay, I need to do another one quickly because I felt like it wasn't tall enough.
Yeah.
So I did this one like super quick, but I really liked this one. Right, so I didn't line it. I didn't do anything on this. I just like
Just more
tacked
raw.
in the,
Just really for the fit, right?
exactly. And you can even see like when I tried it on, I was like, this was all like equidistant in terms of like the fold,
Yeah.
right? And then you can see I was like, okay, no, it needs to like be shorter in the back. So then I like will recreate that fold, re-sew it, retry it on, and see how it fits.
Wait, let me show you the hat I made. Just
Okay, yeah, for sure, yeah, please.
well, I didn't make it. I got it made from a hat maker in the city, and I sourced the fabric. So this is for my first brand. It's called Petri.
Okay,
So this is the hat.
let's go.
This was done, I'd say, how long ago? More than 8 years, 10 years.
Really?
So I forgot it was like a Jewish hat maker from the city that I found. And
Okay.
so wait,
Nice,
before I tell
man.
you like what, like construction wise, like what do you think is this is done by a professional hat maker?
I mean, it's excellent.
Oh yeah,
The construction,
yeah.
so here's the thing, right? I can tell all of the pieces on here. Like I can tell this is done by like someone who does this day in, day out, you know? Because like me with the tote bags, they have every machine and every gadget that they need to like make this thing like a full production, you know, hat, right? Like they've taped all the seams, they've done like everything.
Yeah, everything is like thought out to be the cleanest, I guess.
Well,
No?
see, not the cleanest, but definitely the most efficient, right? Like, for example, for me, all of my hats are lined, like fully lined,
Yeah,
right? This is probably the cleanest, but
it's like
takes-
a hat, like a top hat stuff.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it fucking takes forever. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like to do this in production, like it sucks. You know, like you're not gonna make as much money as if you can just
Yeah.
like seam tape everything, right? Yeah, man. Fabrics, lots and lots of fabrics, of course, and then machines.
So much machines.
So many machines. But like for example, this machine here, this is just a normal straight stitch lock stitch machine. This one here is a 5-thread overlock, so it does like this stitch.
And that's
Here.
like a finishing stitch, or
So actually this stitch can be used as a finishing and a structural stitch because it creates a chain stitch as well, so that's also a good like structural stitch. This is a cylinder bed walking foot.
Whoa.
It's good for hems, good for leather, good for lots of things. I'm gonna set it up as a binder. Actually, this is a waistbander. It's a weird.
oh,
machine.
old.
Yes, it's very old. It's very old. It's
What do you mean waistband? Like for the waist?
yeah. So like for example, if you're making jeans, you would essentially have like this thing, which is a folder, right? So you have like your rectangle of like waistband fabric.
Okay.
It comes in here and folds it,
Oh, I
Out.
see.
and then you would feed the essentially the actual pants through the through the machine with this coming out, and you'd sew on a waistband essentially.
I feel like okay, so like sewing machines, like we've been making clothes for so many years
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah,
I think these machines they never like I know they updated, but like some machines they're just good at one.
yeah.
Like I feel like you don't need
Totally.
to upgrade it all the time.
No, I know it's kind of crazy, like when you really think about it, and like even like these really old machines like this, like a lot of them are still some of the like best machines out there. You know what I mean? Even though we've like tried to like upgrade and make it fancier and nicer and more automated or whatever, it's like honestly like some of the old ones are the best. You know, you gotta have your Red Bull. You know,
Red Bull sponsorship.
Red Bull sponsorship. Yeah, for real, bro. For real, though. For real.
Show us some fabrics.
Sure, man.
Some goods.
Yeah, for sure. Here. Sorry, MC. I gotta get in here. This
How's
is
it
where-
working for this guy?
No pause.
Oh, I have comment.
Oh yeah.
He's my favorite boss ever.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. It's
Let's
pretty
go. Let's go. I'm waiting for the mug.
Oh,
Number one boss.
I'm waiting for employee of the month.
Okay, right. There you go. There you go. Well, it's coming quick. You can get it this month.
Yeah.
You're the
just
only
a-
employee this
It's
month.
just a whole wall.
Yeah, exactly.
You got some denim, some salvage
Some salvage, bro.
from Japan.
From America.
Oh, American.
Oh yeah,
salvage.
American salvage, bro. Yeah, I'm actually. This is my next. Project after this. So I have a show on November 30th. It's part of the Ligne de Fit's on show series. So it's the finale essentially, and I will be showing 9 looks. Yeah,
That's part of your show, or
Yeah.
or
yeah.
is that like a
This is a souvenir spoon vest.
medieval? That's medieval mesh.
Medieval mesh, bro. Yeah, exactly. Chainmail.
Chainmail.
Chainmail. Yeah.
And what's all these spoons? Like, what's that from?
So these are like souvenir spoons, and essentially I actually got them from a church auction, but in Barrie, Ontario. Shout out Collier Street United. Yeah, it's funny. I always remember at my grandma's house, she had like racks of souvenir spoons.
Wow.
Which is so strange. I feel like it's like, I don't know if it's a Canadian thing or like a North American thing. So like, you know, some of these are just like Prince Edward Island, Steinbach, Manitoba, you know, like.
That's Canadiana.
Exactly, bro.
So does that go over a garment, I guess?
Yeah, so that will go over this garment here, which is a fitted flannel, like Western shirt, you know, with the pearl snaps.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and then here I'll have this like a lacing system, much like on the back of
Was
the
there
cap.
something special you made about this, or just more like a very traditional?
It's more of a very traditional like shirt, honestly. The fit is like, it's very fitted. I think the fit is like really nice. You know, the thing about this is all the pattern matching. So if you see like, you know,
everything goes right flush. It's not like crooked.
exactly.
The details.
Exactly.
So-
all the details, bro. So like we literally like basted every, you know, seam by hand before actually attaching it so that we would have everything like match.
Nice.
So yeah, so this is another thing that I'll be showing. And the souvenir spoon vest will go over this.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
A lot of patterns. Are these patterns for
These are all bags.
bags? That's
Yeah.
bags.
Yeah.
Like all these bags?
All those
Or is
bags.
that
exactly.
starts there?
It starts
ends
there, bro.
the
Exactly.
stack?
Exactly.
So that there, this is what you start with when you start, you know, designing your pieces for
Yeah.
the show or for anything, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So basically you would start by creating your pattern, obviously. I can show you, I have some patterns here. So yeah, so you always start with a pattern. You know, I mean, obviously these are like fully developed and there's like all of these, you know, adjustments and everything that we've done to this. So once you get your pattern, you cut the pattern, obviously. And oftentimes the first time you're cutting it, you're gonna be cutting it into muslin, which is essentially a like very cheap sort of plain weave cotton fabric, but it reacts or feels kind of a lot like paper.
Okay.
You know, so it's kind of stiff, like it's not like super malleable or anything. And then you can see here, right? So this was the fitted shirt, right?
The
And
plaid,
we like,
the plaid
yeah,
shirt, yeah.
exactly. So then we traced like, okay, so this is where the patch should go. You know, okay, the armhole needs to open up a little bit here. And then you take all your notes and you go back to the paper. So now here we have the addition of the pockets. We know where our pockets want to go. We have our patch. We probably did the armhole adjustment. You know, I think this was actually our final sample. I think we kind of decided that like this one was the good one, which means that all the adjustments that we did on the paper pattern were good, and then we cut in the final fabric. Exactly.
But what do you do? So if let's say you have a creative block, like what do you do to get out of it? Like, do you have like a thing that you do?
Yeah, it's actually, that's a great question. You know, it's so going to school for fashion, like really changed my perspective on sort of like creativity. In that sort of before that, you know, as a musician, I would be like waiting for the like creativity, or like I would like need inspiration or something. Whereas like through school, I think I learned like more of like a practice where essentially if you just do the work, you know, or like you do the practice or whatever it is, you know, by the end of that process, which is like a very practical process, it's not like, you know, it's not like something crazy like me like meditating or something. It's like very practical. You come out with like good work and like creative work, you know, even though there's no like crazy spark, it's sort of like you're constantly creating that spark by like just going through the process, right? So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I think like before, I would have felt like, oh yeah, like there are times where I don't feel as creative and whatever. Whereas now it's like, it sort of feels like I have a grasp on like how to like bring about that good work without needing the like crazy inspiration, you know? So you can follow my like design work at WJCrosson on Instagram, and you can follow the business at Studio.Trame on Instagram as well. I have a website as well, WJCrosson.ca, where I'm actually going to be posting stuff like for sale after the show.
Any last words for the youth?
Any last words for the youth? Oh my gosh. Keep it up, you know? The kids are all right.
That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh.
From that, it's like, oh, my mom used to make jackets and coats, and and that kind of got me into like, oh, watch out.
I don't want this to fall.
I was like, look at that. Don't lean on that. Don't try to be too cool.
Yeah, exactly.